Hi, this is Keiko from Brooklyn Shoe Space. Today for Shoe Talks, we're talking with Isobel from Clogs. I have mispronounced Clogs before. So it's Briar Clogs. They're based out of San Francisco. I don't know if you saw, Isobel actually did a little mini studio tour video for us over the weekend. And it is looking amazing. So if you have a chance, please check it out on their Instagram TV. It's still there. Let's see if she is here. Hi, everybody. Where's everybody visiting from? All right, Civil Weather. Hi. Meeker Maid is here. Hi there. Hi, Isabella's here. Wave. And then I'm going to, yes, send.
Hi.
Hear me?
Can't hear you. Hold on.
Oh, you can't. You can't. You
I can hear
can.
you now.
Oh, great, great. Hi, how are you? Thanks for taking
I'm
the time to
good.
see me today.
Yeah,
Oh,
absolutely. This is my first live chat interview, so I was like, I have no idea how to do this, but it's
so many
exciting.
stories and Instagram. I love how you do it and all the interactive activities you do.
Oh,
Like
thanks.
like it might not be live, but like the color questions, those are fun. I love
Yeah,
how you interact actually with all the
thank you.
customers.
Thank you. That came just from like walking my dog one day.
So great. Now that I
Yeah.
see your background, I recognize where it is from the tour that you gave us. It's your studio
Yeah.
space, like
Yeah,
your
totally.
area. Oh, that is so
It is.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah, so how have you been? Like, I mean, I know for people who have been your fan and following you on
Mhm.
Instagram stories
Mhm.
and the feed, I'm sure people might know, but how have you been during quarantine? I, s- I wasn't sure if you moved during quarantine or did you expand? So you were like kind of
We
switching
like,
around
oh my
spaces.
gosh, we had the literally the most insane day when shelter in place was announced in San Francisco. We sorry, we were in the middle of moving into the space that I'm in right now, and we hadn't moved in yet, and it was it was literally the most insane day we had. We found out we had 5 hours, and the whole team rallied, and we split up in two. There's eight of us. We split up in two teams, and one team just focused on finishing and packing and shipping all the clogs that we had available, and the other team focused on photographing and cataloging all of our sample sale clogs and like getting it so we could launch a sample sale because we knew that we were going to not be able to make clogs for it ended up being a long time, but we didn't know.
Right.
So yeah, we weren't in this space at the time. We moved into this space when we came back from shelter in place and we could start moving again. So it was
Wow.
crazy.
That
Yeah.
is crazy. And
Yeah.
how long was the shelter in place for you guys?
Oh my God, it felt like 5 years. I think it ended up being 8 weeks. Yeah. So we
And
had
during
no
that time,
we
no
didn't
way to work.
We didn't do any manufacturing. Yeah, we had no manufacturing. There were a lot of us who were working, um, but the production team weren't able to work. They weren't able to come in. Yeah.
Like you came in to do your kind of work and that kind of
I
thing, or
worked from
not really?
home. Yeah, I worked from home.
Mm,
So our customer service team worked. I worked. Our marketing team. We were all working. We were like I was applying for the PPP. There was a lot going on, but we weren't
yeah.
able to actually manufacture during that time. Yeah.
You
Like
adjusted your
like
workspace too, like
we
to
did.
accommodate for when you come back. It
We
seemed like
massively
from the tour.
adjusted the
Mm.
workplace. Yeah, I mean, we've always been lucky that we had we 2 years ago we were in one small space, so we would never have been able to work there. But Jenny, who's our operations manager, we just became very quickly experts on. Nobody really knew how to manufacture in a space that was all very unknown. So we worked with the city. We were on a what's it called, focus group with the city, like trying to work out how to best manufacture safely. And we expanded our footprint by, I mean, from 2 years ago, we're 4 times the size, but without a bigger team. So we just have a
Oh,
lot. We're
okay.
very, very stretched out right now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So we did a lot, but
Wow.
Jenny Hauser, who was our operations manager, was a superstar. She just like learned all the things, read all the super boring documents, and worked everything out so we could be safe together at work.
Good, that's
Yeah,
great. And
yeah,
then,
yeah.
so this, I remember seeing online on Instagram the sample sale. It was
Hmm.
virtual, but then
Hmm.
when you had the sample sale in person, was it in your old space, not the new
Um,
space?
well, when we did it, the sample sale, the in-person sample sales that we do, we actually rent a massive space because, and it's never big enough. Even when we rent a massive space because everybody wants to be in there at one time. So, yeah, so we normally rent a space in our building. We're in a building called the American Industrial Building in San Francisco. It's right on the waterfront. It used to be a cannery. It's an amazing building.
Uh-huh.
It was built in the turn of the century. We have the best landlords. If you're in San Francisco wanting to manufacture, come to the American Industrial Building. It's my little plug for them. They're amazing landlords.
Amazing.
Yeah, so we love our landlords. So we always we've rented space out of the building every time. Yeah, yeah.
Been, so, I'm trying to imagine from all your images and like, yeah, but
Yeah,
I
so
want to go
it
back a
was
little
so
bit.
fun, and it was like kind
Yeah.
of sad this year when we couldn't do it in person because we just like it's our one time in the year to like really do like a community event, and we blow it out every year. We have like champagne and DJs and craft areas, and
And
yeah,
that's
so
when everybody gets to see you, meet you, talk to you,
yeah,
and
yeah,
you
and
also
I
get
hide
to.
in the corner because I'm very shy.
Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah,
Well, let's talk a little bit about you. Speaking of,
yeah,
can you go back in time and talk? Oh, I love that mug. I think I have one too.
yeah. It's the
Like,
East
like,
Fork mug. Yeah, yeah,
oh, okay. Cool, cool. I wanted to ask like how you got into shoemaking and did you always
yeah,
like shoes and how you got into clogs, how you
yeah. That's
learned and like kind of
lots of
expanded, like
questions there.
lots, lots. Let's go all the way to the beginning.
Yeah, all the way back. I mean, all the way back when I was a wee girl in England, I was a real pain in the ass about shoes because I didn't like uncomfortable shoes, and I would make my mum like walk us all the way uptown because that's what you call it in England. You go uptown. We would go uptown, and I would make her go to every single shoe shop because I just did not
Oh,
like uncomfortable shoes. So I think I was always like into shoes in that way. I remember when I was like 15, 14, I saved up my pocket money for a pair of DMs, and they were the shit. They were
yeah,
awesome. So
yeah,
I'm that generation.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
so
it's
I've
back
always
in again,
yeah, I've always liked shoes, but I haven't really I've never been like a high heel shoe person. It's not really my jam. Um, but I've always been really interested in the craft of shoes. It just always seemed really, really, really cool. It seemed a little bit like out of reach in some ways. Like I was always like, where can I find out about how to do this? But yeah, so I've always
There's
been
some,
interested in that.
uh-huh, uh-huh.
And I got in undergrad, I got a sculpture degree. So I didn't get a fashion degree. And I was really into like feminist performance art, like wacky stuff. And I made lots of costumes and yeah. It was
Did
fun.
that include shoes? That sounds fun.
It didn't include shoes, but I took a millinery class and I got really into millinery. And then I actually worked as a milliner when I first got out of college. So I made hats for the Santa Fe Opera as in their apprentice program. So I've always liked making things. Just like I've always been more about the making than the drawing and the design part. Like for me, design is like an actual build rather than a draw.
Sculpture,
And
kind of like working with your hands.
yeah, I think that a lot of design schools sort of ignore the fact that like 50% of us like to make the thing and not draw the thing. And then you kind of do your degree, and then you get out at the end, and they're like, okay, well, now you're going to have to draw a thing and then send it to a factory. So that for me was like, not, anyway, I'm jumping ahead, but that wasn't very satisfying for me. But you got to have a job. So, and then I got out of college, and I decided that I didn't have a lot of money and I needed a job. And I wasn't really into theater. That wasn't my thing. I'm not like a theater person. I was really into the costumes of it, but I wasn't really into like the actual performances. So I somehow got a job. I'm like 22 now, and I got a job at the San Francisco Opera at the end of their season. And then the season ended, and somehow I managed to blag my way into being a pattern maker's assistant at a fashion company in San Francisco. I had done draping, so I knew how to drape, but I didn't know how to flat pattern yet. And for some reason, my boss, Rita, gave me the job. I don't know why. I was very lucky. And I learned how to be a pattern maker then. So I worked there for like 4 years as a junior pattern maker, and learned how to like flat pattern. We did everything with on paper. We didn't use Gerber at all. Gerber was happening, but she didn't like patterning that way. So I became a pattern maker, and then I did that, and then I became and then I realized that I'm not a pattern maker because I like talking to people too much and I'm not like focused enough. So I realized I wanted to be a fashion designer, or that's what I thought I wanted to be. So that's the route I went, and I worked as a fashion designer for 15 years and worked my way up, and eventually became a design director at a small company called American Eagle Outfitters in New York. So, and I found myself with like the job that was like the high level, super sort of like, I don't know, like I would travel a lot, and it was I had a team and everything, but I was just not, I found myself in this position of being like, where did the sculpture girl go? Where did the art school girl go? Like, I'm not that girl anymore, and I'm so not like, it wasn't satisfying. Or not satisfying, like not even, that doesn't even sound right. I was like dying inside. Basically.
Right.
Yeah, because I wasn't like, it wasn't bringing out like my, it wasn't making. It wasn't making.
Well, and from there to what you do now, how did you morph your life around it? Like, or
so
not morph, but how did it move?
I got to the point where I quit my job, which at the time seemed very insane, because I walked away from a job that was the job that I'd been leading to for 15 years. So I wouldn't recommend that for anybody. Actually, I would recommend it.
Yes.
If you don't love it.
Exactly.
So I quit my job, and I gave myself, I had a little bit of savings. I'd saved up some money from this job, and I gave myself permission. I'm a really logical person, and I don't really like, I hadn't allowed myself to just like, I'd never taken a year off. I'd never taken a gap year. I'd never allowed myself to fuck around, so I gave myself permission to fuck around for 6 months. Yeah. And I was like, I mean, I gave myself some rules, because even when I'm fucking around, I give myself some rules.
Yeah, well, that's good.
And one of my rules was,
so
one of my rules was that I would just allow myself to do things without them needing to be sort of a logical thing, like it doesn't need to be a degree that I'm going to necessarily get. Like, so, and part of that was I wanted to learn how to make shoes.
Interest led by your interest.
Just because I was interested. I had no intention to start a company. Right. Wow. Yeah.
Where did you learn the first time around, and what kind of shoes did you make?
I made a pair of they're not that cute, but they were really, really fun. I went to the I forgot what the name of the school is called. It's the shoe school. It was near Santa Fe, and I did a week there. I can send you the link to it that I can share. I'm not sure if she's still doing it, but I did a week and I made shoes. I made a pair of shoes, and I took a leather course before that. But I just fucking loved it. I love the immediacy of it. I love the fact that it's basically a sculpture that you can wear. It was amazing. And then, but I kind of wasn't into the glue, to be honest. No offense to all the shoemakers.
Oh yeah, yeah,
but
yeah.
I was a little bit
not,
like,
yeah.
this glue says that I can't have babies if I use it. This is terrifying. So then clogs were kind of starting to trend a little bit at that point, and I was kind of like, oh, this is like really kind of a cool thing. I like how they're glue free, and I like how simple they are. And it also talked to my brain of like, it's sort of like all the pieces you can kind of like, you can have, they're all like off one model, but you can use the ankle strap and the toe, and I liked it. Yeah, I like the simplicity of it. So that's how that happened. And then it started happening. I don't know why. Yeah. So then
Gathering components, and you just made yourself, or like
I worked with one manufacturer first, and that did not work out. The manufacturing relationship didn't work out. But what did work out is that people wanted the shoes in a tiny way. Like I made the little website, and I made the little brand name, and people started like liking it, and so I had very early on like a demand, but like no way of making them.
Which style was the first style? Do you still have that style?
The first style was the Miranda Peak Toe. Yeah. And it's still in the line. It's still one of our bestsellers. So then I think I would say about, this is the weird thing that happened, but it's like when you look at it and you're like, what did my brain do during this time period? I had taken a shoe class. I wanted to make things again. I'm a designer, so I know how to design a product. So I designed a product and I designed a website, and I sold them to my friends, and my friends were like, we love these. But then I somehow kind of got into the mindset that I had to, as a designer, I had to like find another manufacturer to make them for me. And it took literally 2 years of like me searching. I went scoured America. I didn't find anybody in America. I ended up going to Spain to source all the materials. And then finally I like had this weird experience where I went to this Artisan Leather. I don't know if you guys know Artisan Leather. They're a San Francisco machine maker. They're amazing. I went in there, and the owner of Artisan Leather, I was talking to him. I was like, do you know anybody who can make these shoes for me? Because I had this demand and da-da-da. And he was this like 60-year-old guy. Jerry is his name. And he was just like, why don't you just make them yourself? And it was literally, I had not thought that like to make them myself. Yeah. So I blame Jerry.
But then, amazing. I'm so glad he told you that. Yeah, but then how did you, so from your one time, 1 week of shoemaking, like how did you translate that into, did you go and learn, or did you kind of figure out where to get components first, or what's like your journey like?
So my journey to the components, I developed the bases in Spain. I found a factory in Spain. I got on a plane and like I found an agent who helped me, and I went there, and it was all like, looking back, I'm like, that was kind of sketchy. I just like showed up in another country being like, hi, just me. But then the pattern making and the designing, it was just like, it was a I don't know if this ever happens to you, but like, how you have all the things that you've learned in your life and they kind of click together.
Yep.
Right. Like the thing that you would never have thought that would be useful that you did when you were 22 suddenly becomes like, oh my God, I can do that. So for me, I think I knew how to pattern make. So I could pattern I pulled that skill in that I hadn't used in 10 years at that point, more than that, 13 years.
Yeah.
And I started patterning the shoes, and then the stapling as a sculptor. So yeah, so I set up a little tiny studio.
Is it? Yeah. You can visualize it and you, sorry.
Yeah. So I set up a little studio in my front room, in my apartment in the Victorian, and we got like, I found a staple gun, got a compressor, and like literally the first time I got my big brother lives in San Francisco, and I like called him over and I got my wife to come and help me, and I was just like terrified to use the staple gun, and we like did it and we were like, you know, like,
yeah,
we were so scared.
Yeah.
And it worked, and we were like, oh shit, we just made a pair of clogs, you know. So it was that goofy.
Oh, yeah. And then once you had the product, you just, because you had the demand, you just kept on growing from there, from one person to how soon did you find somebody else to help you?
Probably too late. We have these amazing photographs of like, I got originally, like way in the beginning, I did a couple orders with Anthropology that ended up, I decided that I didn't want to do wholesale, but there was a moment where I was literally making, and don't tell Anthropology this because it's probably not in their like bylaws, but I was making them in my kitchen, and my sister-in-law and my mother-in-law and my wife were packaging them in the living room, and we had like a whole like situation going.
That's manufacturing right there.
It was manufacturing. It was the start of manufacturing. Yeah. So the one thing I do have to say, that just for other people who are like making things, or is that in the beginning I did a lot of pre-order, and that super helped me because I didn't have any savings actually by that point. So doing pre-order and having if anybody on this call ordered a pre-order pair of shoes from me in that moment, I want to thank you right now, because it made Briar actually be able to stay alive and grow, because I didn't have that $10,000 to buy the first base order, you know? So the pre-order orders paid for the materials so I could like move it along, you know, because, you know, most people, especially women and minorities who are starting businesses, they don't have capital sitting around. They don't have like somebody that they can go and ask for all this money. So the pre-order model was so crucial to my company's early development. So I want to just thank everybody. If there's anybody on the call who originally ordered, it made a huge difference to me.
Yeah. And then I guess why San Francisco? But then you were already there in San Francisco when you started.
I wasn't. I was in Brooklyn. I was living in Brooklyn. I was working in Brooklyn, and then I quit my job, and I was still living in Brooklyn. And I had done I lived in San Francisco, moved to LA. This is the side story. LA, then New York, and then I decided to. Started Briar in Brooklyn, in my apartment in Brooklyn, and then I just decided it wasn't a business decision at all. My brother was having his second baby, and I just decided I wanted to be like an auntie in real life. So I just packed up my car with my dog and we drove across the country.
Oh, that's
what made the decision to move to San Francisco. And then I met my future wife about 8 months later, and then I was like, damn it, I just moved to the most expensive city in the country. It was not on purpose, but I love it here. I love San Francisco, and I'm so happy that I did move here. Yeah. But yeah, it was done totally driven by heart and not by any business reasons.
That's why it works too.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful. I didn't know you were in Brooklyn. So close.
Yeah.
But so you
Yeah.
know
Yeah.
how the lack of space. So like I was
Oh
drooling
my
when
gosh.
I was
Yeah.
looking at your video. I was like, just like wow, you know, the amount of space you
Well,
have
it's
and the
insane and it's not efficient right now, but it's just what we have to do, you know. Oh,
right.
hi, Lotta. My friend Lotta is on the line. That's so cool. Lotta and I knew each other when we were 20, oh, I don't know, Lotta, probably 25 back in the day in San Francisco. So
Oh, fun.
we're friends from old school friends.
Oh, yeah, so like the name of the briar, it does say, I saw on the website what it means, but how did you come up with that name?
Since we were 24. The name, oh my God, it's so hard to name a company. Like, I literally tortured all of my friends and family for probably a good 2 months. I came up with the name eventually because I wanted a word that had a feeling and also had a meaning. And at first I was like thinking of all these names. At first I always thought it would be something to do with my name, but then turns out Isobel is extremely overused, so I didn't do that. But then, and I'm really glad I didn't, because it's, the brand is not me. It's something else, you know. But then I found this word, briar, which is actually, we should have learned to translate it in Swedish because Clogs are traditionally Swedish. It's bria, I think is how you pronounce it. And it means to care. But we pronounce it briar, which is, I'm English, and it kind of feels like it felt like the vibe that I wanted to feel, which was sort of brackish and naturey, and it just, like, the two things kind of melded really nicely. And then I also liked just the way it looked. I liked the letters as well. So it was just, it took a long time, and I had lots and lots of words that were sort of on the short list. And then when that one happened, everybody I showed it to was like, that's the word. It was just like a click.
Cool.
Yeah.
And then from, what the question about growing, like from single person to hiring more help, how long did that take? And then to how many people you are now? Like, what's the timeline like? I feel like it was kind of like quick.
Well, it was very slow at first. It was me in the first part of the business. The first 2 years was sort of me and my dog and my car, and me kind of like trying to have it go from like an idea to actually like more delivering like a thing. And then when I started making them, I think I was making them. Sarah and I were trying to work this out the other day. I think I was making them in my front room for probably 6 months. And it was just me. And then I had a couple people who would come in and sort of do some help with things. And then it just got to be too much making. It just, like, we had like we were living in the Victorian, and the hallway was just like boxes of bases. It was ridiculous. So then my wife very, very, very sweetly and nicely was like, I think it's time you get a studio. So then I bought a clicker. That was my big first purchase, and it felt like a huge investment. It was a huge investment, but I just knew that I couldn't keep hand cutting because it was just too harsh on my hands. You guys know. All the shoemakers in the house know, right? It's just like by the end of it, you've got like one Popeye arm, and then the other one's kind of like not working very well. But this one's got like, you're ripped, right? You're just ripped. Like, everybody knows what I'm talking about. All the shoemakers out there.
Yes.
You've just got like these muscles that you're just like, what is happening to my arm? And then I started hiring, and I hired a lot of part-time people at first, and I was doing all the making, but I had a lot of people sort of come in and sort of do things that I could easily train them on. And then I think about a year in, I got more serious and realized I needed to kind of work out how to train people more fully. And then I met my business coach around that time, and who is amazing, and she's still my business coach, and she's I consider her sort of the sort of part of my like almost like a business partner in some ways, but she's my coach. And she helped me learn how to create a company culture and create like be a boss, because I knew how to be a designer, but I didn't really know how to like actually like build like a culture and train and do all of that stuff. So that's kind of the journey there.
Oh, you were saying you have 8. So
yeah, we're 8 at the moment. Yeah.
How long does it take to like train each person for specific task, or do they all know how to make from start to finish?
They now know how to, all the production people know how to make from start to finish. We've got 4 production people right now. And it takes about, to get fully up and running, it takes anywhere from like 1.5 years to 2 years to get fully up and running. We're trying to expedite that a little bit and make it a little bit faster, but like there's just a lot to, I mean, there's a lot to learn. There's a lot to, when people look at the shoe, they're like, oh, like that's just, you just cut, it's like fabric, but leather's not like fabric, right? It's an organic material, and you have to understand the hide, and there's just a lot of nuance that you have to learn how to do. So it takes a while.
Absolutely. So do you start from like just a few simple tasks and then grow from there, and this next and then the full
I
course,
see what your question is. Yeah, we kind of ended up breaking up our process into 5 different like stations, and then so you get trained on the one station first, and then once you've got that one down, we move you to the next station, and then you've got that one down, and you move to the next station, and we kind of order it in order of kind of complexity, I suppose. Yeah. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Curious how that works. So yeah, and then for hand tools that you can't live without, I ask all the makers. I know you've got a clicker, and I think maybe that might be your favorite tool. I'm not sure. Maybe you have another different tool that you like as well, because you were saying the gun, the staple gun might be your favorite, but
I mean, I don't know. I feel like we have things that you have to have, but I feel like, I don't know. I feel like every shoemaker, don't we all have a bit of a thing for scissors? I mean, don't we all kind of like love the scissor?
Yeah.
I don't know. Like
knives,
just
scissors.
Can you have enough scissors? They're just such a beautiful object. So I would say probably scissors are my favorite object, but I don't know.
Brand?
I don't know if I have a favorite brand. These ones are C. Osborne. They're easy cut, but I just like a good pair of sharp scissors. I don't know. Yes, the scissors, exactly.
Yes, the scissors. Yes. And how, so questions about like space. Now that, we did see the space, I'm just trying to puzzle piece together, like, sample rooms happen elsewhere, and then your designing happens in your space, your area, and I see a little bit of leather in the background. Tell us a little bit about like the design process. Like what do you like the best about your process of making clogs? Is that design is still your favorite part?
I mean, yeah. I mean, I think there's a good thing and a bad thing about having a designer be the owner, right? Because there's nobody who says no to me in terms of like, so I think in the beginning I had like maybe too many designs, because when I was a designer at a company, I would always have to present to somebody, and then, a bunch of it would get edited out, and we would like end up with this like a smaller line. But I think for a while there, I was just like, I can do whatever I want, because like, which is good and bad. But I think I'm particularly driven by color and form. Like that's kind of I just really like, I'm really like a color like nerd in some ways. My previous job, I was the head of design at Splendid T-shirts in LA, and every season I had to come up with, every month I came up with another color palette, and I just love color, and I love weird colors. I love colors that are like in between spectrum, kind of like ones that are just like, you know, like, is that a yellow? Is that a green? I don't know. You know, like I like that. And I like the technical aspect of design. I like, recently, I don't know if you guys know, but we launched this new platform, Clog, and I actually, from developing the base to actually launching it, it took a while because it just took a while for me to like actually have the time to like develop it from scratch. But like I actually got to go to our base manufacturer and spend a week with him on the floor, making him crazy, asking him to do just one more sample for me. Yeah. And that process was just like, you know, like designing a clog base that is like, looks, I had a really specific idea in mind for the platform base. I wanted it to not read as a wedge. I wanted it to read as a platform. And I had this idea based on historic like Japanese clogs, that the way that they rock. I was like, I think that this would work, that we could make this clog that is basically a block of wood, but actually build the rock in perfectly, so they're super comfortable, and that was it. That was a really enjoyable process for me, like actually doing that and making it happen. And even the guys on the floor weren't sure what I was doing, and they're like, what are you sure? And I was like, let's just try it. Let's just make this happen. So I think, sorry, what were you gonna say?
The sculptor, right? Sculptor, like you have like that like making the 3D and like just turning it around and the woodworking. Yeah. Oh my God. Amazing.
It would be very dangerous if I had like the woodworkers here and I could like develop bases here, because I would probably make them crazy. To develop lots of things. But yeah, that was so the design doesn't happen for me like sketching. It happens like I get this idea and then I want to kind of form the thing, you know.
Kind of, yeah. And then the visit to the factory or the manufacturer, the makers, did it happen before COVID, I'm assuming? Or was it after?
No, it actually happened a year and a half ago. So I got them and we had them, and I didn't have enough time as a business owner and as a developer to do both. And so we actually had all the bases, we'd already developed them. And I was just like, this is the year, we're going to do it. We're going to make it happen. So yeah, so it was very lucky that we had everything. We didn't have any delivery issues because we actually were already sitting on all of these bases. We just I hadn't designed the upper yet. Yeah.
Time to like design the upper. What's the process like? How long does it take to design and pattern on your upper, and how many times do you make samples? Yeah. I would love to hear, you know, because I think some people also think like some things look simple and then equals sometimes easy. Sometimes that's what people come to, for example, my class. Like, it's an easy shoe. And I'm like, nothing is that easy. Simple is not easy.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I think that probably, I know you have a lot of people who are shoemakers in your community. And like, I think the thing that happens I'd be interested in if other people have this happen too, is I think the thing that happens is when you're designing something, it doesn't work. And then suddenly it looks simple and then it's working. So it's like you have a sandal that you're like working, and the angles and the back of the strap, and it's just kind of like you're trying to make it happen. And then all of a sudden it just clicks and it looks simple, but probably the person who designed it like took a long time to get to that point of the click on it. Does that happen to you too when you make things?
I mean, for me, I guess so. And then that's prototyping in a way. Like you make the first one and just see, and and a little bit of patterning changes, and
that you kind of have to like, you have to. Yeah, I wish that like, I'm sure that one of my teachers when I was in undergrad said this to me, and I probably didn't hear them because it was a little pain in the butt, but like, you have to make a lot of crap to get to the good thing, you know? And I think then sometimes when on the outside, you're like, oh, you just made the thing and it's like easy because you just did like 4 things. But I think most people who are making things have probably made 100 things to get to that one thing. Yeah.
That's comforting to hear, actually. That you know, the development time is actually, you put in so much effort and time into it. So so you launched a new style during quarantine, and I love that. Like that you actually had wear tested it. Do you wear your shoes, clogs, all the time? Do you wear any other shoes too?
Yes, I wear. I have a pair of Blundstones that I wear to go hiking, and like if I'm just moving stuff. But I do wear my shoes a lot. Yeah, most of the time, but not for hiking. It's the only thing I don't use them for. But yeah, I mean, oh my God, like I have a whole closet there filled with ugly clogs that I've made, right? I just don't put them out into the world. So like, and I think that like everybody who makes things, it's totally normal to make a bunch of crap that isn't good, and just, you don't have to show it to anybody. You just put it in a closet, or like you write things, or you
take it apart and reuse it.
You just have to like, you know, you just have to get through a lot of bad stuff to get to the good stuff. Yeah.
Love your the pre-order method. So system, or I don't know how you call it. What is your lead time for do you tell your clients, like, or customers usually? Is it sometimes 8 weeks? Is it a couple months?
We always try and keep it like around 30 days. When we got back from shelter in place, we had, again, people, I love you so much. We had a 2.5 month wait time at that point, because we had so many orders over break, and we didn't know when we were going to get back in. And our community was just so amazing that they were really patient with us, and they just waited for their shoes. I mean, it was what kept us in business. It was incredible. But normally our normal kind of way we work, it's about, right now I think we're probably at about 20-day turnaround, because it's our slowest season. So hot tip, if you want to get clothes quickly, order them now, because this is our slow season. But yeah, like at the height of summer, sometimes we'll get up to like 5 weeks.
Do you gauge when the new colors come out? Is there like a timing that you have?
Yeah, I don't. So I you know, I'm PTSD from the fashion industry, where I had to like reinvent something all the time,
over and over.
Oh my God, over and over again. So the way that I do color is I kind of bring something new in spring, and I bring something new in fall. And then some things leave, and some things come back. Sometimes things we'll retire them for a bit, and then they'll come back again. So it's kind of organic in that way. With color at the moment, our tanneries are having such a hard time with timing, because they keep having, you know, they're a factory, so they'll have like a COVID outbreak, and then it will set them back. So we've just been trying to be really, really patient with them about when color comes in, when we can get new things, because they're our partners and we love them, and we're gonna get it. But it's tough right now for manufacturers. So
I saw in your little clip that you developed with the tannery, like the leather that you really wanted, the thickness to the color. It is amazing. And it's something that I think, what did you do in the beginning? Did you just kind of use what was available? It was okay with it, and just slowly tweaked it?
Yeah, it took a lot. It took a like you know, with shoes, it's like you have to have a leather that does what you're asking it to do, and what we're asking it to do is a lot in our shoes because we don't have any lining. We don't we have a little bit that we put in our toe box, but there is no lining in our shoes. It's just leather. So it has to be able to last. It has to be able to stretch. It has to not stretch out. It has to be comfortable. So yeah, it was a little bit of a holy grail for the first like 2 years.
Yeah.
And then we kind of hit on our like the right exact leathers that we were going to use. But to answer your question, in the beginning, I found there's the Hide House in Napa Valley. They're an amazing they do wholesale and retail, but they do single hides. Go check them out. They're awesome. I love them. They're really good people, and they have like lots of different kinds of leathers. So that was kind of my entry into it because I could buy single hides and not have to like make a huge investment of like 500 square feet.
Them so you can like touch it, feel it.
Yeah. So there was just a lot of experimenting at first of like what weight it needs to be, what the temper needs to be, all of those things.
To hear. Yeah.
Also,
it's inspiring for I think other makers, designers, you know, that development takes a long time. Be patient, right?
Totally long.
2 years. You said 2 years to find the right, to get to that place.
And I think that we're always, I think it's funny, like in the beginning it was just like I was always worried about like to sort of admit that like it was better now. But like now I'm kind of like, it's just always getting better. We're always making our product better, and that's okay. And that doesn't mean it was crappy before. It just means it's getting better, and that we're kind of striving for a better product all the time. So there'll probably be things in 2 years where I'm like, oh yeah, then we did that, and that was an awesome idea because it made the product better. So, I think, when you're making something that you believe in and it's high quality, it's just really, it feels really good to keep improving the thing,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. Do you also take custom orders as well? Like or do you usually have somebody pick from your style and collection and then maybe do a different colorway for them or not? No.
So we offer all of our, there's like literally thousands of different variations of what you can get with our shoes, but we don't. So we have our catalog of colors and we have our catalog of styles. We do have some like pro tip. We have some like what's it called with like In-N-Out Burger where you get the off menu. We have some off menu colors. So sometimes if like I think Pacific Gray isn't on the website right now, but we have the leather. So if you ask for a color and we have the leather, we'll make it for you. But we don't do things like custom fit or custom styles because like that would be at a price point of like a couple $1,000, right? Like that's like to have a shoe made for you from scratch and patterned for you is a huge amount of like time and patterning and all of that stuff. So it's a different kind of offering, I think. So all of those amazing shoemakers out there who are on this call, like, you know what I'm talking about, the people who are doing custom shoes, like that's hours and hours of work.
Yeah. And then, for your, to get your, what are you working on now? Like, I think I saw something and I saw a photo of like, I got this, you got a new one coming up. Is that something that you're working on now?
Yeah. One of the bases that I designed when I went to the factory now a year and a half, 2 years ago is kind of my take on I'm calling it the worker clog, but it's my take on sort of a traditional Danish clog. But I re-engineered it. This was my nerding out in the factory. I re-engineered it so it's just a more modern shape. It's not as kind of hobbity. It doesn't have the kind of big round toe at the bottom, but it's still, I'll show you. I'm very excited about it. So it's still like the kind of classic, it has the classic look, but the silhouette is not the kind of big round toe that the other kind of classic worker clogs are, because most everybody else buys from the same manufacturer that's been selling the same clogs since the 1970s, which I have no beef against. I think that's awesome.
Right.
They literally, like, I have clog maker friends in Scandinavia, and they all use the tools that their dads used, you know, so it's like the same thing. But I wanted to do something that I would want to wear, which is just a little bit more like modern, and it's a modern take on it. So I engineered the base first, and now I'm working on engineering the upper of it. And it just makes me crazy trying to get the upper perfectly fit. But I want it to fit fit everybody perfectly, but also like the lasting, because we do slip lasting. So I want it to be good for lasting as well. So it just kind of like slides right in, and it's just like right there. Yeah. So this is what I'm working on right now, and I'm hoping to launch it at the end of March. Yeah. In all our colors.
Is it usually in your shoe size first, so you can wear test it?
Well, I'm a size 8, so I grade from up and down from an 8. So I am very lucky to get to wear our size. But yeah, I always do, and I think it is actually an important part of the process, because I can wear something for like 10 minutes and it will be like, oh, it's fine. But if you literally wear it for like an all weekend, you kind of go like, oh, like I wish that this was coming up a little bit here, or like it just really like makes sure that it's fitting, it's dialed in. The other part of it is so when I'm not like developing, like this is from scratch, I might like when I'm designing sandals, I might like do a few sandals, but like I only want to bring something into the world that I want to wear. Like that's part of my design way that I design. It's just like, it's all like, do I want to wear it? I'm not going to put anything in our line that like I don't love. So I will sometimes make things, and like I might be kind of a little bit ambivalent about it. Like I kind of like it, but then I don't want to wear it. And if I don't want to wear it, then I'm not going to put it in the line.
Any that you haven't shown them to the world yet, maybe?
Do I have any styles I haven't shown to the world? Is that what you said? Yes, definitely.
Looking forward. Maybe things will change.
Yeah, and and that's the thing that I mean, that's part of like this guy, is that like I was excited about it, but now I just feel like it's the right time for it. Like I want to bring out a clog right now that is like really comforting and feels really good, and like I'm standing on it and I'm working, or I'm home, or like it just like, yeah, the world changed, right? The world changed. Like what we want to wear, like what we need in our lives, it's changed.
And your clogs actually do feel grounding, like you were saying that. I thought that was like interesting words. That it feels really good. Yeah.
Do you feel grounded in the platforms you got? Because I know you got the normal, right? Yeah.
I got I forget the name. Sorry, which style is it? The flat one?
I think you got with the strap, with the single band.
Yeah,
you got the normal.
Yeah. I love it.
Yeah, good. I'm so glad. It's
also like a little heel
from
too.
Mom.
And I have a heel one too, but it's a little too tall for me myself to run around the playground. So this one is like a perfect one. Even though in the snow I haven't worn it yet. It's still inside the house, but
that's New York. Unfortunately. Well, I'm so glad that it feels good on you. That's high praise.
And then how many pairs do you work at a time? So you do the design, and I'm like actually admiring how you actually take the time to do that design process, and taking your time, because and not rush through it, and which is all thought through, and like that's why it's a beautiful like product, but how do you translate that to the team? Like, so now that you want to launch in March, are you training them soon? And then how many pairs do the girls or the staff work on the shoes at a time? Like, do you know?
They flow through. So we make them and they flow through. I'm not going to share like how many we make a week or anything like that, but they have like their set schedule and they flow through. With something like this, I will do an onboarding with them, but they'll know how to make them because it's like it's part of our system of making. If we ever did anything new, we'd probably do like a training around it. And at the moment, like they make clogs much more than I do. So like they're really cued into what's going on and what's happening with the leather, and they're like, you know, really, really skilled and talented about that. So these days I'm doing a lot less making because I'm doing more running the business. So the times that I get to actually make and design are like really precious to me now. Yeah.
Yeah. But that's the part that you really still love, I'm assuming. Is that like where you
I mean, last year was a big aha for me because I had really I spent the 2 years before really spending a lot of time on like making the business, like the structure of the business run. And I had kind of moved away from being as involved in design. I mean, not involved, like I'm the only person who designs at our company, but like it'd gone on a little bit autopilot, and I was just like bringing in new colors, but I wasn't bringing in as many new styles. Yeah. And I think last year, just with the pandemic, I just made a decision that I was just like, I want to have a creative year. I want to carve out time for that. But it's really, I mean, anybody on this call who's a business owner, they know that it's really hard to, like, once your business is actually rolling, to get back to the time to carve out the time to do the creative work, because all the other running the business stuff starts really, it's louder, you know.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What's your favorite material and color to work this coming season? Is it still a secret?
I mean, I think that like this is happening. So as far as colors, our fennel is still like, it's almost like becoming like our company color.
Company color. Yeah, it is beautiful.
It's on us. We painted the walls that color. So but I can't tell you what colors are coming out in spring because that is a secret. So you'll have to wait on that. But
yes.
But we have a couple new things coming that I'm very excited about this year.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
Do you have a motto and mantra you live by, or a company mantra?
I don't know if we have a company mantra. I mean, these guys probably could tell you. I think we just try and like be real and like be loving with each other and be human with each other. You know, that's our guiding light with each other. You know, we're trying to be human. So.
Question from a New York fan of yours, asking if you're ever going to do something with shearling inside so they can wear it in the winter too, so that they don't have to go and buy boots, because I know there's boots out there, boot clogs, you know, with shearling.
I don't know if we'll ever be able to do a closed-toe shearling, because for one thing, it would just be fluff everywhere. So it's making me laugh. The reason I'm laughing right now is one of our team, Brooke, she actually decided to move back to Chicago and go and get a PhD in to become a therapist. And for her going away present, we made her a pair of shearling platform boots that are just like, they look like giant bunnies. They were like the cutest thing that you'd ever seen. So I'm laughing because I have actually made a pair of shearling clogs, but they're not something that we would put into production. But they were amazing, and we miss Brooke a lot. So yeah.
Oh, because it's really cold over here in New York and slippery and all this. They were like, yeah. Okay. Well, San Francisco is not, it gets cold at night. Is it
Yeah,
not?
it gets chilly. It doesn't get like yeah, it doesn't necessarily get like shielding cold, but I know, I mean, the thing is like sometimes you just have to make a decision about what you can excel at and what you can do really well. And right now making like sewn up boots is not on my radar because it would be a whole different process, but it might be eventually. It's just not right now. Yeah.
Resources available to you and like no worries in life? What kind of shoes or clogs would you design and make, and for who?
I'm sorry, you broke out again. Can you say that again? Sometimes I can't
Sorry.
hear the beginning.
Oops. So if you had all the resources in your
Hmm.
life and no
Hmm.
worries, what shoes or clogs would you make and for who?
I don't know. I mean, I definitely want to make a pair of shoes for Michelle Obama. Like, yeah, right. Um, yeah, I think I would just want to I would want to make shoes for just all the people who just are like incredible and inspiring in the world.
Yeah.
Um, but I think if I had like all the re time resources, I would probably want to start adding other things to our brand. Like, because I'm a clothing designer at heart deeply, and so
Yeah.
I do daydream about days when I get to like bring that side of things in and kind of like make the
Oh,
brand beyond just shoes. Um, so that would probably be where I don't really have any like feelings that like I'm not getting to design the clogs that I want. I'm doing that, but I would definitely want to I would want to kind of bring in other things. Yeah. Yeah.
oh, cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
And then do you take apprentices or
You know,
you have
we haven't done that
Mhm.
yet. I think we might do that at some point. Like we kind of we were thinking that we were going to hire more people last year, and then COVID happened, and we're kind of we are going to be hiring some more production people next quarter. We're going to start, but it's kind of like it's slow and steady because we want to make sure that like even the interviewing process is going to be interesting, right? Like how do you have one-on-one interviews with people in this world? So I would love to start an apprentice program, um, but we'd have to work out like what it would have to be once all of this COVID stuff is passed, because like the
safety
in-person stuff is
first?
so challenging. Yeah. Yeah.
Then what practices would you keep that you adapted like during COVID, and what would you continue? What do you think will change?
Oh, that's such a good question. I'm definitely going to be making sure that I have studio time again. I have it booked in my schedule now. Um, so that would be something that I want to continue. I want to continue bringing new product out and like having the time to do that and not just
Hmm.
being in like business lady zone. Um, what else did we do? So one of the things we did with the team is we ended up we have 4 people on the team, and they used to work in a round, right, where they would all be working together on in kind of, it's not assembly, but they would be kind of like in different stations. And what we did is we actually like I showed you, we created a second mirror room, and so we have 2 teams that work together, and they produce separately so they don't kind of interact for safety. And I think actually that has worked really well for us to like, maybe as we grow we might keep smaller teams that are sort of responsible for little kind of areas, because I think that kind of create the end product from beginning to end feels really good. It feels more kind of it just like, yeah, like we're artisans, we want to be making things, we want to have that kind of ownership over the thing. So I think we might keep doing that.
Would need more equipment and more space, do you think? Or is it more just a team, just the people?
I think it's just more the team idea. Yeah. Yeah.
It's very cool.
Yeah.
And then where do you want to like personally or professionally be in like 3, 5, 10 years? Do you have kind of like a big plan and the big ideas for Briar Clogs? And then I saw some demolition picture one time, and I was like, what is that? Is that gonna be like a store? Or like, I was just like really intrigued
what is
and
happening?
Curious. Yeah, what is happening? It looks really big what you're doing. I think it might still be a secret, but
yeah,
and I'll just keep on following to
your
find
first
out.
question is a good one. So one of the things that I would definitely recommend for anybody who's starting a business to, like, when you get to the right stage, to work with somebody who can help you dream and plan. So my coach helps me with that, and I'm in a cohort with 4 other women, and we kind of do a lot of planning and dreaming and thinking big. And so I do have my 10-year kind of dreams for the company. And I don't know, like I've been able to share them, but I do definitely know kind of where we're going. We have an eye on the future for where we want to be. It's not really driven around like size or anything like that. It's more driven around like having a culture that is a place where people can work, where it feels really supportive, and like that's part of being a business owner that I didn't expect. I didn't know that was going to happen, and that was going to be really drive me a lot. The space that I'm looking at is it's like a potential space in my building that just opened up, that we might be, one of my dreams is to have a manufacturing that's in the same space as retail, so you can see what's going on, because the process is so important to us. And we haven't had that for the last year and a half because we outgrew our little shop. So I've been kind of looking for this space, and we may have found it. So, but it's moving very slowly, and because we're in COVID, so like things move slowly. But that is the possible potential, I hope, future of what we might be doing.
Yeah. Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah.
That is so exciting.
Yeah.
Oh, so we just have to keep on looking forward to what to come up, and then and it sounds great. This like group of 4 or 5 women with a business coach. So you have somebody like kind of like listening to you, and also kind of holding you not accountable. There's no punishment, I'm sure. It's just more like the support group that sounding board as well. It's so great.
I think it's really important for anybody who's in business to have a cohort, because the things that you go through as a business owner, as business lady, you like, maybe a lot of other people are not going to understand what you're going through and what you're building. And for me, it was really good. It meant that I didn't have to like be talking to my wife all the time about the trials and tribulations and stress. I had like other people that I could talk to, and I just knew that they understood what I was going through, or what I was thinking about or building. And so if you're out there and you're a small business owner, I would highly recommend finding a cohort, because it's kind of, it really does feel incredibly, it can feel really lonely at first when you're a small, I mean, I don't know if you feel that way, if you have people that you can talk to about having a business.
I do, but I don't have like I realize I do. And then, but not as like, I guess a business coach sounds more professional in that sense, that like they kind of do guide you in a way. I feel like. And so, but I do have like, group of entrepreneurs. But we don't do it like regularly. So I'm just kind of curious did you seek it out? Like, did you?
When I met Nina, it was, I'm going to go into an infomercial for Nina, my business coach now. Nina, you're welcome. No, I mean, I love Nina. She's amazing. I took a class that she teaches called Brand Strong, which is, it's like a immersive, the way she teaches it now, I think it's like a week, but when I did it, it was over a course of time. And basically the class is you do this deep dive into what your values are, and then you kind of build out what you believe your company values are, and then that guides all the decisions you make. And it's really beautiful. I mean, I do it every year. My values is now 5 years old, and I look at it and I feel like it feels so good to me. So so shout out to Brand Strong. So if anybody's on this call who's looking to do something like that, look at it. Her Instagram is You Design You. But there are other business coaches out there, but I think having somebody, there's a lot of things. I don't know if you found this, but like as a business person, you have like some things that you're really good at, and then the things that you're not very good at become incredibly visible, right? Like just, oh my God, Isabel, you suck at your accounting, or whatever it is. Like they just become like, they bubble up. It's different than when you have as a job as a designer. Like I just had to do like the designer hat, and I didn't have to do all these other things. So there's often, for me, there was a lot to learn. There's a lot to learn. Yeah.
And then one last thing, the names of your styles, who do you get inspired by? Are they like employee names, friends, family?
They were friends. They were friends in the beginning, and then they were children of friends. And then sometimes they're just names I like. So it's, yeah. When I worked at Velvet. That was my first job as a designer. Velvet Tees in LA, and they instead of doing style numbers, they use names. And I think I kind of like that just really stuck for me, this idea that you have like the name, and then it's just much easier to remember like the Zoe than style 345, so that's kind of where that came from. I think I unconsciously stole that idea from them.
All right. What's your favorite style so far that you're like, this is just the one true, like, I love this style? Or is it all your babies, you can't differentiate your babies? Like, you can't favorite one?
No, I have favorites. We all have favorites, right? The Zoe is my favorite right now. Like I designed the Zoe and I put it on and I was like, oh my God, this is the shoe I've been dreaming about my whole life. So I love the Zoe. But like it changes it like the Chloe in clay was like my go-to for so long, and now I'm cheating on Chloe, and I'm with Zoe now.
Zoe now. Until the next one comes along, but we don't know the name yet.
Yeah, it kind of it progresses, and it's like different at different times, and then sometimes I'll be like, I get really obsessed with color. Like I just get to that thing where I'm just like, I see this color everywhere and I'm obsessed with this color. So I'll like, and then suddenly I'll be like obsessed with another color. So I think as a designer, you have to like, I think our job as designers is to be really synced into what we're obsessed with. Like that's kind of that's the thing that I rely on now, is I don't worry as much about like, is it gonna be, are other people gonna like it? Because I'm like, I kind of have this feeling that like, I'm not that special. If I like it, probably other people are liking it. Like it's in the ether, Yeah. So I'm like, if I'm obsessed with fennel right now, it's because fennel is in the ether, and I'm just gonna go with fennel, and I'm not gonna second guess myself.
So that's so great. I love seeing your world. And I love being a part of it, and being a customer, and I love your fans. Like you have such a great community of women and maybe some men too, I think. Yeah. So thank you.
We feel really, 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 really lucky. I hope that I can't wait until all of this bullshit passes and I can come visit you in New York and see your space and like learn from you. I'm very sure that you have so many amazing skills that I don't, and you can teach me some things. So
I would love to do some. I want to come and visit San Francisco too one day.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
yeah.
absolutely.
Or shoe. I also have like a plan of a shoe girls trip somewhere too, like trying to gather some shoe makers to go
Oh my gosh,
somewhere and
that
like
would
do
be
like a
amazing.
retreat slash something shoe related slash just relax slash
Yeah, well,
inspire
remember
and trip.
when Faye was talking about us going to Morocco?
Yes.
That would be fucking amazing.
Amazing. Yes. It's still on my
Amazing.
list. It's still on my list. Morocco and maybe Portugal. Like,
Yeah,
because Faye's like,
yeah.
Portugal, you can just like go to a castle and sleep at a castle. Like,
Oh my God, that would be
and by the
amazing.
beach. I'm like, yes, that would be amazing.
Yeah. Once we can
And do a
start
little shoe
traveling
stuff.
again, nobody's going to do any work, right? We're all just going to be traveling. It's going to be like, bye.
Yeah, well, it's work travel or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Inspiration
Yeah.
trip.
I got to go to Oaxaca a year ago, and that was amazing. It was the first time I've ever gone on like a trip that was specifically for inspiration, and it was so dreamy. It was so amazing.
It in your collection too. Like I feel like it comes all together now. Yeah.
Well, you have to you have to put the input in, right? You can't just be all output.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Well, I'm looking forward and keep doing what you're doing. It's amazing. Thank you for taking your time today.
Yeah, so much fun. Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah. And thank you everybody who came to listen. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. All right. Okay. Have a good night.
Bye.
Bye.